Wow, the WBC really trying it. They said that Canelo newly announced fight against Avni Yildrum is a great fight for 2021, and we're going to talk about that in this here video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Let's get it. WBC's president, Mauricio Suleiman, says Canelo versus Avni Yildrum, his sparring partner who hasn't fought in 2 years and is coming off a loss by stoppage to Anthony Durrell, who later lost to David Benavidez, says Canelo versus Avni Yildrum for the WBC Super Middleweight Championship is a great fight for 2021 Year of Boxing celebration. DAZN, no boxing, no life, yada, yada, yada. That's the tweet from a verified account. Now, I want to say, as far as Canelo Avni Yildrum, they're talking about the fight happening in Miami. If I'm not mistaken, 305. Shout out to Pitbull, shout out to Miami. Listen, I don't really have too many thoughts about this fight, so this video won't be too long. You know what it is. Canelo Alvarez, he's a terrific fighter. He looked good versus Caleb Smith. Later, they came out and said that Caleb Smith had 4 weeks to train. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it looked like it was true because Caleb Smith didn't do a damn thing. So Canelo, he looked good. He's a good fighter. And as an ambassador of the sport, I would have liked to see a better fight, point blank, period. You can say whatever you want. You can act like, you know, people, it's funny because they want Canelo to hold the torch and be in the throne so bad. And you see a lot of the racist fans, they said all the things, a laundry list of things that they hated about Floyd Mayweather. I remember Floyd said he was going to fight either Kareem Mayfield or Andre Berto. And all the boxing writers were seemingly disgusted. I seen boxing fans say Floyd was forever tainting his legacy. So 20 plus years in the sport, the Olympics, you know, where he got robbed, all that was out the window because he was going to fight either Kareem Mayfield. Shout out to my dude. He has a new business opening up. If you're in the San Francisco area, he has a cannabis dispensary. So make sure you check out my man. But he ended up picking Berto, and you still seeing the same thing. People said, oh, Floyd ruined his whole legacy, and he just had fought Pacquiao that same year. But Canelo, you know, the mystic Canelo can fight Avni Yildrum, his sparring partner, who again hasn't fought in 2 years and is coming off a loss. Just like Gennady Golovkin, very similar when Canelo failed the drug test, right? And Golovkin said, hey, no, guys, I want to still fight. And he picked Vanes Martirosyan instead of doing what the IBF wanted him to do at the time, which is to fight Sergey Derevyanchenko. He fought Vanes Martirosyan, very similar situation. Vanes Martirosyan, 2-year layoff, had been out of the ring for a while, was coming off a loss to Edislandi Lara, and was considered a guy who had no hope, you know, because Vanes Martirosyan in that situation with Golovkin was moving from 54 to 60. Very similar stuff. Now, the saving grace that I'm seeing from old media, again, there's so many double standards, and I don't want to bore you with more of them, but Mayweather is the best example. Bottom line is a lot of people that said and claimed that they hated Floyd Mayweather, they said it was because he was cherry picking. He picked guys when they were old. He only took fights he knew he can win. But some of these same people are now vouching for this Canelo Yildrum fight. When have we ever seen Mayweather fight anybody like a Yildrum since he's been Money Mayweather? He put on big events and big fights. So I really would have liked to see more from Canelo. You know, the saving grace that I'm seeing from old media is the mere fact that Canelo is fighting with some frequency. He just fought in December, but that's not a big deal. He was unscathed. He didn't really get touched. I don't know if Caleb Smith really had 4 weeks to train, but, you know, Canelo made it look easy in there. And then the opponent he's fighting, most people believe that's going to be an easy fight. And I have to assume that Canelo, being as smart as he is as a person, he knows what Avni Yildrum brings to the table from their previous sparring sessions. So this is just not a big fight. The WBC, they can, you know, WBC, aka We Back Canelo, they can say whatever they want. They can say this is a great fight. We'll let the fans speak on behalf of it. I don't think it's a great fight. I do respect Canelo. He's fun to watch, but this is just very little interest. And really, it draws a lot of questions. Like for me, how does David Benavidez hold the belt 2 times? Nobody has beat him. He's undefeated. And through different mistakes, one failed cocaine drug test, banned substance. he got his belt taken. Then he later reclaims it, beating Anthony Durrell, who beat Yildrim by stoppage in his last fight, right? David Benavidez does that to reclaim it. And then in the pandemic, he loses his belt again based on his inability to make weight. They didn't have any sauna rooms because, you know, the pandemic, it was Showtime's first card. So they didn't have that, you know, I can't even blame Showtime, because at the end of the day, you're so busy trying to, this whole Rona situation is something new. So you're worried about fights being canceled for that reason. And you have to do, you know, these new testing procedures and expenses. And they probably didn't focus on little stuff like, oh, fighters are going to miss weight and come to camp and not be able to make weight. So it was just an unfortunate situation. Long story short, David Benavidez lost his belt, and he dogged his opponent Angulo. But my question is this: how is David Benavidez ranked behind Avni Yildrum when they have a mutual opponent? Avni Yildrum's last fight, Anthony Durrell, and Durrell beat him. And David Benavidez stopped Durrell, and nobody else has stopped Anthony Durrell. So it's not making too much sense. You could say mandatory schmandatory. The WBC knows what they're doing. They're babying and coddling Canelo. And Canelo, you know, props to him, because for whatever reason, he sued Golden Boy and DAZN and Oscar. But he seems to be getting his way because he's getting paid and DAZN is footing the bill. Now they're saying it's a 2-fight deal. So you can kiss a Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, Charlo fight. You can kiss that goodbye at least for the next 2 fights. So Canelo's strategically moving, cherry picking. This is not an interesting fight. You guys can choose to baby Canelo if you want. And again, it's just sad because the double standards that you see are so flagrant. You can do whatever. The WBC is trying to make it look like this is a great fight. Enjoy. You know, I don't think it's a great fight on paper. It's a unheralded name. It's going to probably have a lousy undercard like DAZN, a lot of their fights. It's an uninteresting story. You see what I'm saying? The storyline, there's no like real backstory. So the saving grace is because Canelo just fought and he's fighting again. Like, that's what I'm supposed to be hyped about. So even though I don't care about the matchup, you know, and it means nothing for the division. And there's so many questions. The Yildrum being a mandatory, why is he ranked higher than David Benavidez? That's the starter question. Another question is, they said Canelo was able to freely move around as the 160 franchise champion, and he had first dibs on opportunities like the WBC belt when David Benavidez missed weight because he was the franchise champion. And they also said the franchise champion is able and granted special privileges with no mandatories. So when Canelo was supposed to fight a black fighter, an American fighter out of Houston, Jermall Charlo, the WBC says those duties have been alleviated and Canelo no longer has to fight mandatories. So they've created this positioning for Canelo, and they said they didn't want to he's so special and such a moneymaker and cash cow for the sport. They didn't want to bog him down with mandatories. And they even gave him special first dibs and privileges based on his franchise status, which they said was non-transferable. But in the Lomachenko Teofimo fight, it was transferable, right? So how does he have a mandatory now? You know, so really weak arguments from old media. Oh, but this is his mandatory. Once again, when his mandatory is a fight that people actually would want to see, like a black fighter like Jermall Charlo, somehow, some way, it doesn't happen. Same thing with Gennady Golovkin. But Golovkin can fight Dominic Wade when he's a mandatory. Camille Sesmeta, his last fight, when he's a mandatory, so on and so forth. Canelo can fight the mandatory when it's Avni Yildrum, but as someone you actually desire and would pay to see him fight, it won't happen. So DAZN, their business model is very foolish to me. I don't know how much Canelo's getting, but they're offering him a 2-fight deal, so I would have to imagine he likes the amount of money being offered for some easy work. Let me know what you guys think. The WBC, they're clearly doing whatever to side with Canelo, calling this a great fight. If I'm wrong and you think this is a great fight, please let me know why, and please tell me how long you've been interested in this particular matchup, because there's a ton of matchups that I would love to see. Canelo, Benavidez, Beterbiev, Bivol, Charlo, Caleb Plant, Andrade. He could have fought Andrade or Charlo at 54, at 60, now at 168, and these are the opponents that he's picking. And if it's a 2-fight deal, it begs the question. You're pretty much, it's probably going to be an exclusive deal for 2 fights. So this is one of the fights. The second one has to be, I would imagine, a Billy Joe Saunders or somebody like that, maybe Triple G, guys that are aligned with Matchroom and aligned with DAZN. So, you know, good luck to Canelo in his career. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Also order UFC 257, Conor McGregor. I don't know what you're thinking. This Saturday. It does help the channel continue to grow. We working. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego. A storm is coming. Conor McGregor, the rematch is here. Poirier versus McGregor 2, only on ESPN Plus. Use my link in the description. UFC 257. I'll see you at the fights.
Who the fuck is that guy?
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.